because at the end of the webinar and tomorrow, you're going to get a recording, all the great resources directly to the email you registered with, so that you have everything right there for you. So no need to take too many crazy notes. We're going to give you a lot of really good information today. And finally, if you have just 2 or 3 minutes when the webinar concludes to just give us some feedback, we have a very quick survey there, and we'd love to hear from you. We use that to try and make our webinars better and more impactful. All right, so let me jump off my soapbox and get on to introducing our amazing speakers for today who are going to take us through this conversation. We've got the perfect people for the job today. So first, I'm excited to introduce Juan Arroyave. Juan is a dynamic entrepreneur who has made a name for himself in the business world through his ventures, Kikos Coffee and Tea and Skytop Digital Services. He founded Kikos Coffee and Tea in 2019, which is the #1 LGBTQ and minority-owned coffee and tea company in the United States. Alongside Kikos Coffee and Tea, Juan also created Skytop Digital Services, which offers comprehensive marketing services to small and medium-sized businesses. Juan's innovative and visionary approach to entrepreneurship has earned him recognition from both his local community and beyond. His passion for creating positive change in the community is reflected in his success as an entrepreneur. And he is launching a new business called Latin Business Growth. The business will primarily do consulting for Latino small businesses. Hello, Juan.
Hi, how are you? Hello all.
Well,
Thank you for being here, and I hope you learn a lot.
yes, and we are dropping the link to Juan's Skytop Digital Services in the chat, so be sure to look there. And next we have Roberto Martinez. Roberto is the founder and CEO of Braven Agency, a digital marketing agency, and SMRTS, an SMB success tracking software company. He is Google's California digital coach and was appointed by the mayor of Los Angeles as the city's entrepreneur in residence in 2020, where he created and launched LA Optimized, a program focused on digitizing businesses during the pandemic. Roberto was appointed to the board of directors of the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce in 2022. He's conducted over 500 marketing and entrepreneurial workshops, not 501, in English and Spanish, partnering with governments, city officials, chambers, nonprofits, and accelerators. Roberto is a visiting professor for CSULB School of Business, teaching digital marketing and social media analytics, and a board member of the school's Institute for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. Prior to the private sector, he worked for the Canadian Foreign Service and the U.S. State Department, focusing on foreign direct investment and political engagement. Roberto holds certificates in scaling business from Stanford School of Business, an MBA from Thunderbird School of Global Management, and a BA from UCLA. He is passionate about humanitarian work and worked with humanitarian nonprofits in Colombia to raise awareness and support for Venezuelan refugees in 2020. Thank you so much for being here, Roberto.
Happy to be here. That's a mouthful.
You guys are both just perfect for this, because we are digging into marketing and budget-friendly marketing. So all of you who have joined, you are in great hands, and we are going to jump into it. So this first question is for Roberto. Can you share an inspiring example of a small business that achieved great marketing success with a limited budget?
Yeah, happy to. First and foremost, I'd like to thank everyone for being here. Very excited to have you all here. Thanks so much for Action for inviting us and having us present a little bit about how to help your small business, how to help your startup, how to help your company scale using a limited budget. First business that comes to mind is a local business. I am from Los Angeles, California, so anyone from California, shout out. I see a lot of folks here from across the country. That organization was called Long Beach Chalet. And what they realized is that they provide wedding service, anniversaries, and they're based right next to the beach. And what they realized is the folks who use their services, which is renting out their actual space, their venue space, but also they have a permit to actually host weddings and or anniversaries on the beach. Those folks who are using their services are their best champions. And so they asked, can we use your content that you're creating at this venue to repurpose it on our social media and website channels. And they ended up receiving a ton of content around weddings, around birthdays, anniversaries, bar mitzvahs, you name it, they had that content and they used it to speak to the specific needs of different segments of their customer base. And so that allowed them to really reach out without spending heavily on the content. So when you as a small business owner start thinking about who are your key stakeholders, who are your key partners, clients, and organizations that support you, you could think about them as an extension of your company and ask them to provide you content as well, provide you testimonials, short snippets. If you're a creative agency or provide a beautiful product or solution, you could ask them to use that through their social media content and then repurpose that information, that content across your social media and digital channels. That way, you're creating organic content that's authentic, which is the most important piece. And something like that, it would allow you to not just promote your own product, but also, or service, but also empower your customer to promote your company and highlight your value through their channels. So that's a big theme that I'm going to be touching on again and again in this conversation. How do we leverage our strategic customers and partners to repurpose some of that content that we create across our social media and online channels?
I love that. I love that you said organic engagement, because as a consumer, I love seeing that online as well, how other people experience certain brands. That's so great. Okay, so Juan, my next question is for you. What was your biggest marketing challenge when starting your marketing company, and how did you overcome it on a budget?
That's a pretty funny question, being my agency, a marketing agency, or as I call it, a digital agency. Yes, we had many challenges, but the biggest one was I had the wrong buyer persona. Yes, that's difficult. You don't have enough clients, so you cannot create one. You just create what you want. The people that want to buy, that you believe that are the one. So I was picking like a really wide audience. I wanted all small businesses to buy my services. That's not okay. That doesn't work. Like, I mean, how many industries there are? How many, what are their fears? What are their needs? They're totally different. It's totally different to sell services in California than in New York. The type of communication is different. Taxes are different. Laws are different, right? So I was like really wanting to sell to everyone. So basically what I did to overcome that without paying a dime, to kind of narrow down my buyer persona. First, you have your clients. Even though there are few of them, just target the clients that you think they're your right customer and ask them questions about their personal questions, fears, motivators. Do they have family? Do they have pets? Research online about the industries. What are their challenges in general in that specific industry? And specific industry is not about manufacturing. No, just go deeper. Manufacturing of uniforms with this amount of employees. Like, I mean, because if you target manufacturing, still it's a very wide range. So I started to do that. I started to check out for reliable sources of reports that talked about the type of business owners, their fears, everything. And after I compile all of the information, I was able to really create my buyer persona. Not only the demographics part, right? But also the behavioral motivators and business constraints, right? Once I had that, I was able to not only talk to my client, but also understand that I needed another service for my business, translations and consulting, which now accounts for like 30% of my sales for translation and 20% of my sales in consulting. So I didn't really spend much, and I'm still working on this. Now that I have more clients, I'm still making changes. It's a constant change, right? Because your clientels. Now I also work for like large corporations such as UniFirst, but I need to understand their needs. How can I adapt my ongoing service to really meet their needs? They don't want just a generic company. So I just have a question for you, and I know that you cannot reply back, but think about this. Do you have kids? Do you have pets? Do you feel more empathetic to something you see with kids and pets? I think yes. So that's why it's important to talk to your audience, understand your audience.
I love that as someone with pets. I love seeing a pet in a marketing thing. And I think you touched on something so real, Juan, which is like we want everyone to buy from us. Of course, like that sounds great. But at the end of the day, kind of really digging down and defining your customer and asking them questions allows you to find more of them instead of trying to be everything to everyone. So that's such a good, that's such a good point. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, my next question is for Roberto. What are some underrated social media hacks that small businesses can use to boost their visibility without spending a fortune?
Love that question, Brittany. And let me just double click on what Juan said. It's understanding your customer persona, and I'll tie that thread with this question that you asked me. Really, what it comes down to is identifying your prospective customers, your clients. You can use customer persona. The short answer is co-branding. That's the short answer. But if you were to dive a little bit deeper, we have to identify not just our direct customers who are buying from us, but strategic partners, folks who support us through our endeavors, through our associations, through our chambers, through our local business reinvestment communities. And those folks have actual social media channels. And so I don't like calling it stealing. I like calling it borrowing. We're borrowing their network, we're borrowing their funnel, we're borrowing their channels, and we're asking them, hey, we'll love to figure out a way to co-brand your product or your service with a product or service that I provide. And what ends up happening is that you start leveraging their audience base, their prospective customers, to introduce yourself to a whole new audience you might not have been focused on thinking about or leveraging. And so during this, it's called a stakeholder analysis. You want to identify not just your direct to consumer customers that are buying from you, but other organizations that are adjacent to you, that aren't direct competition to you, that you can leverage their social media channels. You could leverage their, not just social media, I want to say email marketing channels. For me, email marketing is the best form of communicating to your prospective customers. And for those of us who have a diverse business community that buys from us, text messaging is also a big one. And ask them, hey, is there a way we could co-brand our particular products? You could use my list or my social media channels, and I'll use your list and your social media channels. And you're always thinking about a win-win situation by creating content that's useful to the end user and to their end user. So what I'm saying is co-branding. Always think about how can you co-brand with partners that service your customer, your community. That's the easiest way. I wouldn't call it a hack. I would just call it thinking about your funnel and other folks' funnels and building out your ecosystem.
Yeah, I love that. It's a win-win. Like you said, you're providing, valuable content and you get to share audiences. Such a great tip. My next question is for Juan. Can you share a low-cost social media campaign that you ran that had a big impact with a small budget?
Sure. That's a very interesting question because we recently had a very popular post. But before I answer that, I have to go that when you're doing social media, organic social media, you have to have a well-planned strategy. And it's not as crazy as people think. It's very basic. You just basically have to know what are you want to talk about. Educational posts, brand posts, promotional posts, or posts of value, right? So those are my business pillars, right? And I divide that in a percentage. So in my case, I like to be very consultant oriented. I like to educate my audience, right? Because that's the added value. I don't only provide the service, I provide consultation for them to be ready to go to the next level. So recently we got certified as minority in the Greater New England. And that's a huge benefit because now you kind of get more awareness from the big players, right? So I wanted to educate and kind of tell other small businesses, hey, get certified, women certified, Hispanic certified, veteran certified, do something, right? But just that's a big opportunity. So I was teaching them these are the benefits to be certified. Just go and do it, get certified. So I was educating people, and organically was like a real hit, and it exceeded my goals in everything. I I did spend like $5 in there to promote that because I thought that that was very important for everybody. Uh so yeah, that's I think that was a very successful post, and it was aligned with what I wanted to tell people. Before I finish, I think I see that there are a lot of questions for me, so you can send me an email, and I can definitely talk to you and kind of guide you, free of course, of course. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much, Juan. And yes, we will, at the end, if we have time, we'll try and get to a couple of these questions. But I love what you mentioned about your pillars. And I've heard about that before, kind of having content pillars. And I mean, $5, that's definitely low budget. So I don't think it fits the question perfectly. Thank you, Juan. Okay, this next question, I want to start with Roberto and then move to Juan. But how can small businesses effectively use grassroots marketing tactics to connect with their local community?
I absolutely love that question, Brittany, because it goes back to what we talked about a little bit earlier, which is identifying your stakeholders. And once you identify those stakeholders, the next piece is identifying your champions. What do we mean by champions? Folks who are talking about you in the best of light when you walk out the room, right? Any type of summit, any type of conference, identifying who within the city or within your community, your county, your city is championing your specific product or your specific service when you're not around. Once you identify those folks and understand who they are, what their title is, you'll start seeing a trend that identifies them. And it goes back to your customer persona. Once you understand who they are, you start identifying why they are championing you. And the next piece of that is creating content. What do I mean by that? You start creating material that they themselves can push out on your behalf, on your company's behalf. So, for example, for that same venue that had that space close to the beach, she started creating content for local business redevelopment districts for the economic director of the city. And she said, here's some content around our space. If anyone is ever interested in hosting a wedding or an anniversary on the beach, just forward them this PDF that talks about our specific service. So what you're doing is you're not just identifying the stakeholders, you're identifying your champions, and then you're empowering your champions by creating sticky, engaging content around your services or your solutions or your products. That's going to go a long way because we can't do this by ourselves. We need to build a community around us that helps each other out. And guess what's going to happen once you do that? Folks are going to be looking to you to do the same thing. And it's always a reciprocity principle. You want to reciprocate more. My old boss used to say, you want to deposit more in other people than you withdraw from other people. So you're always asking those champions, is there anything I could do for you? Is there anything that you need assistance or help with? And you just start helping them out as best you can because they already championing you is going to create a reciprocity loop where you are helping them and then they want to help you. They want to see you grow. And before you know it, more leads are going to be coming through third-party organizations, third-party leaders that you've nurtured and developed across your ecosystem.
I love that example because oh, please, Juan, yes.
I was just going to say that you were on point. That it's a great answer. I mean, that's what you should do.
Yes, so good. I totally agree. I thought especially to have a resource for people so it's easy You know, they don't have to think about it. You've already provided the content and they can share it. And Juan, I want to ask you the same thing if you have anything to add. But how can small businesses effectively use grassroots marketing tactics to connect with their local community?
Yes, perfect. I just want to add to what Roberto said that it was great and on point. It's like tactics on how to do it. So I follow the 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 people that are making decisions in the company that you want to do business with. Follow on Instagram, follow the page on LinkedIn, even connect with them on LinkedIn. Search in Google their name and company to see if they read an article or something and read about it. Go to LinkedIn, to Instagram trends, to TikTok trends, find trends that are happening right now, and also try to understand their website. Go to their website, their diversity and inclusion policy, whatever it's going on, read it. And when I was like a few hours before this meeting, I was in a meeting on how to do business with Pfizer, and they advise us, hey, I don't want just a capability statement. I want a capability statement showing how are you going to help me achieve my goals, right? So information is key. Understand their goals, and then when you communicate with them, it will be easier just to have a meeting, right? So follow. I don't like the word stalking, but yes, that's kind of what it is. Right. So it's very important. Like I write a lot of articles and blogs, so you guys can follow me. I have HR articles or marketing articles, and one of the things, one of the articles that I'm more proud of is the new techniques of sales. They're automated. So, right, they use, yes, they connect with you. Once you hit accept, you get an automated message. If you don't reply, automatically they send you another one, but there's no personalization. I hate that. I even blocked them because, hey, did you take the time to at least understand my business? Because that's what I'm trying to do, right? So understand my clients, understand my audience. And if I want to work with somebody else, I try to adapt. Even I try to adapt my services. I ask my clients, what is going on with your business? How can I adapt my services and adapt my processes to make it happen? So information is key. Try to get that information. A lot of companies, they do blogs and newsletter. Go and read it. Maybe the decision making person at that company is writing an article, and you can send them an email. Hey, I love this article. I love what you said about this. So I want to answer a question in the chat because it relates to what I'm saying. That you can also write articles, right? And there are different tools. Jasper, even ChatGPT can give you, if you write an article, hey, can you make this article SEO friendly ranking with these words? So it can help you do that, right? And those articles can be also a backup for what you're saying on the email. So, because that's telling them you're a subject matter expert. So information, um, information is great. Buyer persona, and it links to what I was saying. Buyer persona, research, research, research.
I love it. There is some love for, you know, business. It's like strategic stalking. It's not just regular, it's different.
Yes, yes.
It's different. But yes, and that question that you mentioned was, what tools do you use to create, you know, blogs, articles, and whatnot? So I think that that's such a natural lead into this next question, which is for Roberto. I'm going to start sharing my screen, but Roberto, what are your top 3 free or very low cost marketing tools that every small business should know about?
I think this dovetails perfectly into what Juan was saying and creating a strategic partnership and being able to understand the customer persona. And then you guys were talking about how do we communicate that value to that specific person. The first one that I would recommend is in video. I'm huge into AI right now, and our whole team created a whole new product line to help small businesses leverage the heck out of all the new AI tools that are in the marketplace. In video would literally create a 15-second, 30-second, 1 minute, 2 minute video for your product and or service within 5 minutes. It is extremely efficient, easy to use, and it even asks you, what would you like to segment this particular video for? Which specific platform? For YouTube, for LinkedIn, and Facebook. You could actually tell them and then repurpose that video across your social media channels, your website. I think there's a very key point that Juan brought up, which is understanding that you are the thought leader. You are the subject matter expert in your industry, in your sector. People look for you for direction. And so when you start thinking about what kind of content I need to create, you're going to speak from the heart in an authentic manner and create content from that position of knowledge, from that position of expertise. And you're going, so that's like the strategic component, right? What is the prospective customer? What is their pain point? What do they need to say yes to us? The second piece is, now that I know that, how do I create content around my subject matter expert and the pain point that they have? And these are the three that I mentioned. The first one is in video. There's a freemium model and there's actually a paid model. The freemium model has watermarks. So you want to think about, is it worth an investment into that? The next one is Recraft. For those of us who absolutely love, and this is just a short video that took us a few seconds, but this is Recraft that allows you to create organic AI content that speaks to your image and your product and or service. So I put in, celebrate a woman's first sale within the clothing line store. So this shows you different variations that you can create very, very quickly and efficiently for your specific business. Very organic, very useful. And you can upload your style guide. Hopefully, most of us have a style guide or a capability statement that has functionality around our look, feel, touch, and taste. It could be the font, the images, useful as well to create organic imaging that pops and speaks to your specific brand. Again, this has been a game changer, at least on our side. What we end up doing, we use Recraft and then we go over to Canva, which I'm sure all of you guys use Canva. I won't even mention that tool because it's so ubiquitous now. And then create content that's extremely engaging, extremely sticky, that speaks to your specific brand. And that's going to really help move the needle for you when it comes to the type of a solution that's going to really drive results. The last one, and this is more on the product focus side, is CapCut. I absolutely love this tool. We had an intern. We had an intern come in and we said, hey, we want you to create a product video for us using an AI tool. Go. Took him less than 15 minutes to do that video. Excuse me. So he took a picture of our office plant and then created this 15-second reel within five minutes. And so this is specifically for those folks who are product-based or who sell a product. You could leverage this and then just repurpose that content across your social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, you name it, you can use it. And Juan also mentioned something that's very, very important, and I want to double click on that point, which is you want to increase your touch points. You want to make sure that when you say we're amazing and this is the 5 things we provide on the blog, you're also saying that within the email, you're also saying that on your social media channels. Many, many moons ago, this was called omni-channel marketing, where you create a strategy where you're sending out the same message across multiple channels, multiple times a day. And so you as a business owner might think this is repetitive, but because of the saturation of the marketplace when it comes to social media, digital marketing, most folks need about 110, 120 touch points. A touch point is every single time your product or service touches that prospective customer to convert. So just think about how many times you have to reach out to that customer. So it's really important to do it in a systemic manner, saying the same message across multiple channels, across multiple mediums to drive that sale for you. And these 3 are absolutely phenomenal. The last thing I'd like to say is that I understand SEO and the need for prompt writing and copywriting is extremely important, but the engagement rate for video far exceeds any SEO out there. SEO is great for search engine optimization, and I work for a very large uh, tech company out of the Bay. Uh, that said, video is really a differentiator here. And now that AI has come into the marketplace, you can use video at a very, very low price point to compete against the bigger players. So those are my top three recommendations for tools. And then you could tell all your friends, yeah, I'm using AI already. I'm a pro. Give me a call if you need some help.
I love that. I love that. Let's see, we have one more, oh, slide. Did you want to talk about this yet, Roberto?
Happy to talk about it. So
Yeah.
on the left-hand side, for those of us who are here, feel free to scan that and get a free 3-page document. And we segment it out. Again, segmentation of the marketplace is extremely important. Segment it out, the different AI tools for you to use. Most of them, I would say 90% of the product tools that you're going to see on the left-hand side are free to use. And for those of us who are thinking, what is a freemium model? A freemium model means this is a strategic, tactical marketing tool to use. You provide a free service at first, you engage the customer, and then you upsell them once they become very, very dependent on your product. Canva has done this, Uber. I mean, most of us use this type of model. We just don't know we use it. So you provide a free tool, and that free tool to your left is going to walk you through all the different tools available. To the right, if you want an AI specialist within our team to walk you through some solutions that you can use, again, as Juan said, completely free, feel free to scan that QR code and we'll have a one-on-one consultation. It's about 20-minute consultation that walks us through some tools that you within your product or service industry can use to improve AI functionality. And just very quickly on the AI, most of the time AI is going to lower your operational costs. That's really the functionality here. They used to have to pay for a graphic designer, a videographer, a copywriter. Now AI can take some of that functionality and do it themselves. So it's going to lower your operational costs, which means you can spend more money on marketing. So feel free, if you guys are interested in the tools, the free consultation, scan that QR code. I know Emma just dropped some links if you guys can't see that QR code. And yeah, happy to answer any questions after this session if you guys have questions around AI.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was super helpful. I know there was a couple of questions in the chat about the reels and the videos that were created. That is a user error on my end, but I'll make sure to send out the reels so you guys can watch them and see what these tools can do. So let's continue on, because I feel like we've already provided so much deep information, but when it comes to marketing, there is so much to know and to understand. So this next question, this is for Roberto as well. How can small businesses create engaging content without the big budget or a team? Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, I saw that. I apologize. Thank you for catching that, Brittany. You know, I'll tell you the truth, and you guys know this intuitively. You guys understand this naturally because you live, breathe your business. It's all about understanding your customer. I call it, people call it customer centric. You go to Boston Consulting Group or McKinsey and they do all this market research. At the end of the day, it's listening to your customer, understanding their pain point, really getting into the way they think, really getting into how they think, and understanding why they would say yes to you and why they would say no to you. That in marketing jargon is called insight. What is the insight that you can gather from that prospective customer to know what they're going through, what they're feeling? There's design thinking is one of the workshops I run in the past and did a lot of training around. There's tools like customer mapping, where you literally walk through the customer journey and put yourself in your customer's shoes and see the world through their lens. Like, what time do they wake up? Do they wake up at 6, 7, 8? Why is that important? Because you shoot that email out at 6 o'clock when they wake up. What's the first thing we as customers or as human beings do when we wake up? Do we hug our loved ones and tell them how much we love and care for them or our pets? Or do we reach for this little device and see who messaged us, who emailed us, right? Most of us are reaching for this device. So understanding that customer journey, really getting inside why they would say yes to you, why they would say no to you, it's going to drive the content. It's going to drive the marketing strategy for you as a business owner. So that's the first piece, understanding the pain point and the customer intuitively. And then the second piece is creating the content around those pain points, around why they would say yes to you, why they would say no to you. So what does that mean? That means once you know why they would say yes to you, you create content that speaks to those reasons. Once you know why they would say no to you, you create content that makes them say yes to you based on their detraction. So here's the reason I wouldn't use your product and or service, and then you speak to why you are using that product and or service. And so content stems and really is all around the end user. Understanding that end user, that's going to be 90% of it. Once that is done, the tools that I just showed you is the what I call the icing on the cake, because you did the heavy lifting. You understood your client, you understand their pain point, you understood why they would say yes to you and why they would say no to you. Now it's just time to communicate that answer in an engaging, sticky manner through digital tools and digital channels.
I love that. And I love that term, sticky, like sticky marketing. It's just so like visual to me, like when something I get stuck on it. So just really helpful advice to knowing what your customer is going to be doing. And Juan, I want to ask you the same question. How can small businesses create engaging content without a big budget or team? Oh, you're on mute. Oh, Juan, you're on mute.
I'm sorry, I was like already.
Into it. You are into it. I love it.
I really second what Roberto said, and again, I would like to talk more about the tactics, because what Roberto said, that's the guide, right? So you have many tools to make it happen. You can even tell Jasper or ChatGPT or other AI, hey, I need a post calendar for that talks about this with these pillars, and I want to give these examples. So basically, it tells you, it asks you what is the platform that you want to post, right? So because everything is different. And one of the questions is, what is best, videos, reels, or anything? That depends. LinkedIn carousels, not even video. Yeah, they're gaining popularity, but carousels is still the top and downloadable documents. Why? Because before LinkedIn was just to find jobs, not anymore. Now it's to network, to do business, and it's more intended kind of a B2B tool, business to business, right? So they're not looking at funny things. They don't really want to watch videos. That's what they have Instagram and TikTok. Facebook now it's becoming more popular than before. Go figure. Everybody thought it would disappear. No, it's better. Facebook's still the main platform to do advertisement, right? So Facebook, they like to read more. It's kind of a newspaper. Facebook's still like a newspaper, whereas TikTok, Instagram, even Pinterest, they like to see that more personal content, right? So when you tell the AI, or you're creating your pillars, educational, value, promotional, or brand, just think about that. Where are you going to post, and what is the information that you're going to share with what platform? So always think about that. It is good to just pick one. This is your main or main two platforms. And then you create the content for that, because as small business owners without a team, it's really time consuming to create different things, images and everything for different platforms. So just try to do it for your main or the main two, and then you can repost in all of the rest. Why? Why reposting in the rest? Because that's your resume. Social media is your resume. I tell all of my clients, well, they ask me, Juan, so if I have social media or a website, will I say sell more? And my answer is no. That's the support. That's your business resume. If somebody will do business, will you trust me? They will check you up. And they want to see something that is consistent, like Roberto said. They want to see the same message that you're giving everywhere. They want to see consistency. So yes, create some videos, create some reels, create some carousels, create some posts, try to use AI to help you build that, but always change it. Just don't copy and paste. Why? Because you have a tone of communication. I communicate very informally with my clients, and that's our culture. We're very like happy and all work-life balance thing. So, but with my other business, it's not like that. It's more formal. So I'm talking in a different way, but I'm being formal and informal, but also taking into consideration what my clients want to hear. So always edit it, change the tone of communication, always make sure that it's not generic, it's still AI, still getting information from all sources. So it's not as unique, right? There are plagiarism softwares. Grammarly is a very good one. It, it checks your plagiarism score. So I always, when I use AI, I always put it there. In my business, because I have to be more unique, I do ask for ideas, but I do write my content. But because I have a team now dedicated to do that, right? So it's a support software.
I love that, and using it as a support and kind of having just like these broad ways that you can use different things. If you don't have a ton of people, these are products or tools or tips that can support you. We had a question that jumped in the chat, and I wanted to quickly ask Roberto if he could define the word sticky again when we're talking about marketing.
Yeah, happy to define sticky. So it's content that's so engaging, you keep watching it or you come back to it. So it's almost like I call it inception, creating content that really provides the value that you're trying to communicate to the customer. And they're seeing the content and they're like, man, I really want to reshare this. This is useful to me. And I know it's useful to five other folks that I want to talk to. And then they're walking away from their day and then they remember the content, they go back to it. So sticky means you re-engage that customer because you really hit home one of your insights. You really spoke to one of their needs, and that content that you created was so useful that they just didn't find it useful for themselves, but they find it useful for other people. And that content can live on your social media site. It could live on your website. It could live on your email. How many of us, show of hands, or press one, how many of us have seen such amazing content? We reshare that with our friends or family members, with our business partners, or we forward those emails or that link to some people that we care about. That's sticky content. And we want to create sticky content. The reason it's so sticky is because the marketer realized what pain point you had or really understood what you are interested in and created the content around that. So we want to do that. We want to create that content. And it all starts with what, again, understanding who your customer is, really understanding their specific needs.
I love that. I'm always resharing and things, and conversations, which is why I love so much of educational posting when businesses do it, because it does make me trust them as a subject matter expert if it answers a question I've been thinking about. Okay, Roberto, I know at the very beginning, we've talked a lot about social media, which makes sense. It's a huge platform. But in the very beginning, I believe you said something about email marketing being really beneficial for getting to your customers. So I want to run back to that question or that topic and ask you, what are some cost-effective email marketing strategies that small businesses can use for their audience?
Absolutely, Brittany. Yeah. And I think that's exactly what I had in my notes. Email marketing is the most claims to be, and I back it up from my own experience, claims to be the most cost effective marketing channel in the marketplace. And that's just because of the scalability of email marketing. The way they explained it to me many moons ago is, how long does it take you to shoot an email to one person? What if you forward that email to 100 people, 1,000 people, 10,000 people. It's still those 3 to 5 minutes. If you make a newsletter, it might be an hour. Let's say it's an hour to create a newsletter. But once you send it, that scale of email is fantastic. You can reach 500, 1,000, 10,000. You guys, AOF, have a list of maybe 15, 20,000 folks in that email distribution list. So the scalability of email is fantastic. So what do we as business owners have to do is build the list. Someone way smarter than me and way more popular than me and way more brilliant than me, Gary Vaynerchuk, 15 years ago now, 20 years ago, had a book, and they called it Jab, 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 Left Cross, I think is the name of the book. But what they say is that you build value by providing the end user value, building that list, and you do it by educating them on the things that they need through that content. So you're always providing something that they need. And so you're providing value, providing value, providing value. When you think about your email marketing campaign, you want to create content that's useful for the end user without asking anything in return. And I know that's really hard for us. We want to get the sell. But if they trust you, and that's the big piece, trust. We want the customer to trust us by providing value. Now, you might say, Roberto, what the hell is value? It could be, I don't really negotiate or work really hard on lowering your price point, but it could be useful tips and tricks. It could be how to improve your Christmas party or your holiday party or your spring break or your solar equinox or your solar eclipse in 5 easy ways for your business owner. That's value. That could be seen as value. So as you're communicating that value through email, you could ask them to reshare that email. You can also create a landing page or social media post that drives people to submit their email. And it's also reciprocity. When you send them to the website, most folks do a promotional code, but it could be value like the newsletter. It could be value like a one-page cheat sheet. It could be something like a freedom model. Test this out for a month, and we'll provide you, a discount. Or if you're trying to reach out to corporate entities, you can start thinking about what do they care about and what you can do. And I love what Juan was talking about a couple of minutes earlier when it comes to identifying the decision makers. What I love doing, and I've seen exceptional businesses do, is create champions around the decision maker. And so what do we mean by that? You create the content and you give the content to the folks who are influencing the decision maker so that when they meet, everyone is speaking about you and everyone is sending them brochures and videos about your company. And so the decision maker is like, who the hell is this person at this company that's doing such an amazing job? I have, the communications director, the PR director, the administrator sending me the same content. Like, we need to talk to Dandy or we need to talk to Jill because they're doing an amazing job. So that's the value of creating content that's sticky, that's engaging, building out that list to help you scale and leveraging that list to lower your cost. I'll just give you one quick example. I used to work for a very big rideshare company. I won't say who it is, but it was very big. It came out in 2012. It exploded in 2012. And it was scary how much money they would make per email. Anytime we had a down quarter, and I was the marketing manager for that company, they were like, shit out an email. And we would shit out an email and we would increase sales by a tune of like $150,000, one email. It was bonkers. That really drove home the power of email.
That's really amazing, especially as like a consumer. Some emails really do stick, and I wouldn't have been thinking about it at all, unless I got that email. So that's a very helpful way to utilize email and think about what you can offer in terms of like getting an email. I saw those were a couple of questions in the chat. How do I build my email list? I think that question like perfectly discusses that. So we are, getting close on time. So we have one more question, but before we go to that, I want to mention a resource that Juan has provided. Now, Juan, we don't have enough time to dig totally into the return on investment content, but you have provided a return on investment calculator, like a download folks can have. We're going to drop that in the chat, but I wanted to ask you if you wanted to tell them a little more about that.
Yes, like a lot of times when you're a small business owner, you don't know how to track the money you're investing in the different social platforms, email marketing, everything. So basically what we did as Skytop was create a template for small business owners that are simple, and we guide you. We even kind of pre-created everything you need to do and how to understand the numbers. Because a lot of times, yeah, but what does it mean? Like, I mean, so it's a very simple tool that will help you guys kind of track your investments. $10 in Facebook, 20 on Instagram. So whatever you do, just use it. Is very helpful.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Juan. We'll be dropping that in the chat. I see some questions. If you're having issues with any of the links, don't worry. Tomorrow you're going to get an email. It's going to have all of the links in the email along with the recording. So if anything's giving you issues today, we'll get it figured out in tomorrow for the time of our wrap up. And then our final question for today before we move to the Q&A is I want to ask both and I'll start with Roberto. What's one piece of advice you can offer business owners to enhance their marketing strategy on a low cost?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of touched this again, so I'll just restate it. Is understanding your end user, understanding your customer, being customer centric by asking them questions. So maybe that's the last piece that I would say. You have to talk to your customers. You'll be surprised. They love hearing from you. You might think you're bothering them, but they want to hear from you. They want to tell you what worked, what didn't work. And that's going to help you improve the company. So reach out to your customers, send them surveys, give them a call. Right now, we're going through the 2023 customer list of our company, and we're calling up and say, hey, just want to check up on you. How you're doing? Is everything great in your business? What can we do to help? We have some free services to provide you if you want them. They'll look at you like, oh my God, you haven't forgotten about us? You still want to talk to us? Because sometimes I get it. Not every customer is your customer. Sometimes those customers are very trying, but we're here because we want to serve and help our community. And so reaching out to them and just talking to them and hearing them out and better understanding what worked and what didn't work is going to help you become a better business.
Love that. I love that piece so much. And Juan, the same question for you. What is your one piece of advice that you can offer business owners to enhance their marketing strategy?
Embrace change. In marketing, there's nothing written. Things can change quarterly. Now, before it was like, hey, let's create a marketing plan for a year. That is not true anymore. Just create your plan per quarter, aligning it for the year, but every month check. You may need to change your goals. Something in the market happens. Things with all of us like changes so drastically. My marketing plan changes every quarter. My personal marketing plan. So don't just write it down and just leave it there. You created it for a reason. Just be on top of it. Measure, create your KPIs, your return on investment. You are the CEO of your business and your life. Just make it happen. Use all of these resources.
Love that. Love that. Yes, embrace change. Okay, so now we have a few minutes for a couple of questions. If your question doesn't get touched on, I want to offer up, we have a free coaching hub. So if you are looking for marketing specific coaching or something that's like SEO or something different, business growth, you can check it out there. And also Juan and Roberto have provided so much information on the places you can find them. We will include all those links tomorrow. So please, the support is not stopping at the end of this webinar. So the one question I really want to get to, because a lot of people asked this question, is how do I narrow down my buyer persona specifically? So it seems like a lot of people are kind of struggling with this. So Juan, I wanted to ask you, and then I'll kick it to Roberto. How do I narrow down my buyer persona?
Well, initially, sorry, am I muted? No. The second time.
We're all nervous now. We're nervous.
Yeah. Well, the first thing, and I think this is very important, is asking yourself, what does your service provide,
Mm.
right? Who is your user? It's babies, people, businesses. That's the first thing. Like, I mean, you want to narrow down that. Then who has the power to purchase your service? That's very important, right? Because not everybody will have the purchasing power to acquire your services, right? Then you limit a lot of people, right? Maybe your service or your product is a low cost product, so you have to target them,
Mm.
right? So when you're the motivators, then it's price driven motivators, free shipping, free all that, right? Uh, then I was mentioning babies or this. So if you have a baby product, then you have to target their mothers,
Mm.
not the babies, right? So that's a lot of like uh misinterpretation that we all have. Like if we're targeting babies, it's for babies. No, it's for mothers.
Mm.
If we're targeting dogs, it's for dog owners, not for mothers, right? Then the location first, you have to think about your capabilities. Are you able to ship the product nationally, internationally? Do they expect a same day delivery? If they expect that, where uh, where is your area? So only target the people in that area. If you know that in case of the dog products, you have 30,000 people in that neighborhood that are dog owners, right? So it's just try to filter it down as much as possible. And there's no rocket science. There are AI software for buyers persona. There like a bunch of stuff. But at the end of the day, you're the only one that know your product or service, and you know who will benefit from it. So again, try to ask your current customers, hey, why did you get my product? Why did you buy my service?
Mhm.
Uh, what motivate you to stay with me or buying it continuously? A lot of times you don't know information that they have. Like you're like, really? You like that about me? like really? like really? I didn't know. Like a lot of times, yesterday, somebody was telling me, Juan, but this product was intended for this use. No, like the WD-40 that it's intended for mechanical things and it's used for kitchen appliances and it works wonders, right? So a lot of times when you understand your business and that product can be used for different things, maybe you can also target them doing that, repurpose what you have. And a lot of times that's the way to go. A lot of times, most of the big corporations started doing something, and when they discover that, they started doing something else.
I love it. It like filters into the change that you said to be open to. And then I know we're a little over time, but Roberto, anything else to add on that buyer persona?
No, Juan did a good job and fantastic content. I would just focus it on also on the finance. So we're all here to make money at the end of the day. So when people ask, how do I start? I always tell you 80-20 rule, 20% drives 80% of your business. If you have business already, if you have those customers, focus on the customers that are driving your business. Create the customer persona based on the customer who buys the most from you. So most of us here are already in business. Identify those businesses who are buying the most from you and then create the customer persona with them in mind. That's my best advice. I always start with financials, always start with the money, follow the money. They're going to tell you why they say yes, why they say no, and then create that buyer persona and then work backwards. This is my best client. This is how they look like. This is their education, their demographic, ethnographic, income, education. This is my second best client. And that's how I would also add to what Juan said. You start creating that customer persona.
I love that. It sounds like after this webinar, a lot of customers are going to be getting a lot of calls and outreach and love because that seems to be the theme. Just really dig into those customers who already love and support you. I want to thank Roberto and Juan for coming and sharing so much valuable information. and resources. As promised, this email along with this recording will be sent to your email that you registered for the webinar with tomorrow. Thank you both again. Thank you all to the attendees for taking time out of your busy day to be a part of this, and we will see you next time. Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.